I'm a little frustrated because I heard a lot about love. And one thing that I know is it's not because of the lack of love that we're not able to feed our children. It's not because of the lack of love that we are able to house people. It's not the lack of love that we are unable to save people from dying because they don't have health care. It's not because of lack of love that you were able to finish college because you got help with childcare. Love has nothing to do with this. And if you want to bring love into this, you got to bring radical love. Because radical love means that we radically love every single person within our communities to make sure that we are providing for them the basic rights as humans. That's what love is. And that's the godly thing to do. So if we want to talk about faith, we also have to remember that we can't pray our problems away.
Exactly.
You can't pray for your children to be fed, so you're not crying because they're crying and they can't go to bed. You cannot pray for your medical bills to disappear.
Before we even start, pause for 1 second. Like this video, subscribe, share it, and comment, because your voice matters here. This channel exists so everyday Americans can speak through it. So Washington hears what real people believe, not just politicians and pundits. Now listen carefully. What you're about to witness is not just a viral clip. It's a real collision between two visions of America. You're watching a House hearing where Pastor Latasha Fields shares a lived American story. Growing up in poverty, teenage motherhood, faith, trade skills, family structure, discipline, ownership, and upward mobility. A real human journey, not theory, not politics, not ideology. Then Ilhan Omar responds and reframes that life story through progressive politics, shifting the conversation from personal responsibility and community structure to systemic barriers and government solutions. This isn't just an argument. It's a diagnosis of what's happening in America. It's a debate over how poverty is solved. It's a debate over how families are strengthened. It's a debate over whether freedom comes from character or control. So let's dig in, not emotionally, not politically, but intelligently, and really understand what this moment means for America.
Examples of successful anti-poverty programs that you have been a part of that address these problems for youth.
Thank you, Member Flores. Yeah, and that's I'm hearing everybody testify as well over the same thing, and I'm finding it hard to understand why, when the word is said hard work, why is that interpreted in a different way? I realize all of us sitting here, everyone in this room has worked hard to some extent. But what we're saying is, and I believe you all would agree, that even where you all sit as representative Congress and senators, you did not do it by not working hard. And so we just need to understand what that word means. We're saying that you have to persevere, you have to endeavor. And for me, I grew up in the same environments that everyone sitting here is testifying about. Again, my mother was on drugs, in and out of prison. My grandmother did not have federal aid. My grandmother bought a house in 1972 working as a janitor at Louisiana State University. So before the civil rights, there was no federal aid. There was no welfare and food stamp. So I'm sorry if I come from an environment where I have seen that you do not have to rely on government. Right. You can work hard and persevere no matter how long it takes, and that's what I did. I got the food stamps for a couple of years, so I'm not here to say totally dissolve it. People do need help, but what I'm here to say, and especially working in the real estate industry, it doesn't have to be perpetual. Right. You know, you got families that pass Section 8 and welfare down like it's an inheritance. The Bible says we ought to lay up an inheritance for our children's children, and it's not government entitlement.
When you said you homeschooled your kids, and I want to understand what values you teach them.
Oh, I definitely teach them personal responsibility. And even to add to that, what you were saying about trade, me and my husband both, even though I have a bachelor's degree, I also have a trade. My husband is a barber, he has a trade. We have lived the life they're saying with the living wages. I bought a house making $4.25 an hour. So we understand living on wages, but the way we got out of poverty is what you're saying, is we got trade, we went and got an education. And my husband talk about that all the time. If the government could make trade more accessible, you know, spend those federal dollars so people can sharpen their skills and get out. My husband just bought us a 3-bedroom home, 2 full-bath home in Chicago, being a barber with a trade. He has a 10th grade education. And he did it with a trade skill. So those are the kind of programs that we should be advocating for our government, to sharpen our skills, bring back those trade skills into the Black community so that we can rise above poverty. We can't do it with just a high school education all the time. We need trade, we need skills.
I'm a little frustrated because I heard a lot about love. And one thing that I know is it's not because of the lack of love that we're not able to feed our children. It's not because of the lack of love that we are able to house people. It's not the lack of love that we are unable to save people from dying because they don't have health care. It's not because of lack of love that you were able to finish college because you got help with childcare. Love has nothing to do with this. And if you want to bring love into this, you got to bring radical love. Because radical love means that we radically love every single person within our communities to make sure that we are providing for them the basic rights as humans. That's what love is. And that's the godly thing to do. So if we want to talk about faith, we also have to remember that we can't pray our problems away.
Exactly.
You can't pray for your children to be fed, so you're not crying because they're crying and they can't go to bed. You cannot pray for your medical bills to disappear. You cannot pray for the mold to stop poisoning your children in the classrooms. The other thing that frustrates me is people who have experienced poverty, who have gotten the straps for their bootstraps, who sit and talk about how we shouldn't do anything for the next person. See, as someone who knows severe poverty, I lived in a refugee camp, on the floor, no water, nothing. And I hear somebody say, here in the United States, they're fine with their grandparents not having running water? And that's supposed to be okay? Or we hear someone say, it was a choice made up to me to have my children and not be like the other Black people who get to have children out of wedlock. We don't get to have those kind of conversations. The conversations we get to have is how we are responsible for fully funding our schools so all of our children have the opportunities we have as we sit in this room. We get to talk about the kind of opportunities we have as government to make sure healthcare is provided to everybody so that we don't have people dying in the United States because they can't afford insulin. The conversation we get to have is making sure that there are no children going to sleep hungry or being shamed in classrooms and in lunchrooms because their families don't have enough money to pay for their lunch. The conversation we get to have about the kind of poverty we have in this country is the kind of poverty that says it is okay for us to take photo pictures with veterans and be okay with the fact that they're sleeping on the streets here in the United States. So as an immigrant, as someone who came to this country, hearing about American exceptionalism and prosperity, I am appalled that we get to sit here and have conversations as Americans about being the most charitable country in the world and not being charitable enough to house our homeless, feed our children, care for our veterans. What is charitable about that? So I ask you, the kind of systematic barriers that exist in prosperity, that's the conversation we should be having.
When Pastor Fields talks about trades, she's talking about real economic ladders. Before America became obsessed with degrees and debt, trades built the middle class. Barbers, electricians, welders, mechanics, carpenters. These weren't backup plans, they were stability engines. When she talks about faith, she's talking about identity and discipline, not religion as control, but belief systems that shape behavior, patience, responsibility, and resilience. When she talks about homeschooling and family structure, she's talking about value transmission, how principles are passed down, not outsourced. This is why conservatives talk about culture more than programs, because culture outlives policy. Then Ilhan Omar responds, and the framework shifts. The language changes, the responsibility shifts, the focus moves from individuals to institutions. Now poverty becomes something people are trapped in. Success becomes something granted. Responsibility becomes something suspicious. And government becomes the central solution. This is not accidental. It's ideological. It's the belief that systems shape people more than choices do. That policy shapes character more than culture does. That management creates outcomes more than meaning does. Here's the danger in that thinking. If people believe they have no agency, they stop acting. If communities believe they have no power, they stop building. If families believe the state will replace them, they weaken. You don't destroy societies with oppression first. You destroy them with dependency. Conservatism isn't about denying help. It's about preventing permanent reliance. Here's what I believe as a Republican patriot. We need safety nets, but not safety cages. We need assistance, but not generational dependency. We need government, but not government as parent. The real solution isn't bigger systems. It's stronger foundations, strong families, strong work ethic, strong communities, strong trades, strong values, strong accountability. That's how poverty has always been defeated, not by managing it, but by outgrowing it. Washington talks about policy. Communities live consequences. And here's the truth people don't like to say. You can fund programs forever and still lose culture. You can expand systems forever and still lose stability. You can centralize power forever and still lose dignity. But when you rebuild families, discipline, faith, skills, and responsibility, you rebuild nations. This is why this hearing matters. It's not about two women, it's about two futures. One future is managed, the other is built. One is dependent, the other is disciplined. One is controlled, the other is free. This is bigger than a clip. This is bigger than Congress. This is bigger than politics. It's about what kind of country we want to live in, and what kind of future we want to leave. If you believe the solution is stronger families, stronger work ethic, stronger values, stronger communities, stronger skills, and stronger responsibility, then your voice matters. This platform is your voice. Uncensored news is your voice. So don't just watch, speak, comment, share your ideas, share your beliefs, challenge respectfully, engage intelligently, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it so Washington hears the people. Because your opinion matters, your voice matters, and America is not built by politicians, it's built by people.